Welcome to my channel, Official History of Coins, today's exciting video where we dive into the fascinating world of modern American numismatics. We're uncovering 3 remarkable 5-cent coins from the United States that have captured the attention of collectors worldwide. Let's get started in the stratified world of American numismatics. The 1941 Jefferson Nickel holds a position of fascinating paradox. It is a coin of immense historical significance and stunning beauty in its highest state, yet its true value is often underestimated by all but the most discerning collectors. Struck on the eve of America's entry into World War II, this unassuming 5-cent piece represents the final, perfect expression of the pre-war nickel series before global conflict would fundamentally alter its metallic soul. For collectors, the 1941 nickel is not merely a date in a set, but a tangible connection to a transformative moment in American history. Its appeal lies in the dramatic contrast between the hundreds of millions that entered commerce and the vanishingly small number that have survived in pristine, gem-quality condition, making the pursuit of a perfect specimen a true numismatic quest. The market demand for high-grade examples has remained consistently strong, driven by collectors who recognize that this common-date coin becomes exceptionally rare when the threshold of near perfection is crossed. The historical backdrop against which the 1941 Jefferson Nickel was minted imbues it with a poignancy that elevates it beyond simple pocket change. By 1941, the Jefferson Nickel design, created by German-born sculptor Felix Schlag, was only in its 4th year of production, having replaced the beloved Buffalo nickel in 1938. The United States was emerging from the Great Depression, yet the rumblings of war in Europe and the Pacific were growing louder. The mints in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco operated at full capacity that year, producing a staggering combined total of over 300 million nickels to fuel a rapidly growing economy. However, this would be the last year the coin would be struck in its standard composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. Within months, these metals would be deemed critical for the war effort, leading to the introduction of the silver alloy wartime nickels in late 1942. Thus, the 1941 issue stands as the final high-mintage representation of the original Jefferson Nickel series, a last glimpse of American coinage in its pre-war purity before the nation's industrial might was fully redirected toward global conflict. The unique artistic features of the 1941 Jefferson Nickel, especially when examined in high-grade conditions, reveal the subtle mastery of Felix Schlag's design. The obverse presents a dignified, left-facing portrait of President Thomas Jefferson, characterized by a clarity of detail that is easily lost to circulation. On a mint-state coin, the individual strands of Jefferson's colonial-era hair are sharply defined. The epaulette on his shoulder is crisp, and the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust stands in bold relief against the lustrous field. The reverse showcases Jefferson's Virginia estate, Monticello, depicted with architectural precision. In its highest grades, the full separation of the columns on Monticello's portico is visible, a feature so prized that the numismatic community has designated a full steps designation for coins where the steps leading to the mansion are sharply struck and unbroken. The coin's diameter of 21.2 millimeters and weight of 5 grams give it a substantial feel, and the original mint luster on an uncirculated 1941 nickel creates a cartwheel effect of light that is genuinely captivating. The concept of rarity for the 1941 Jefferson Nickel is entirely conditional, which is the central factor driving its value in the upper echelons of the market. The Philadelphia Mint alone produced over 203 million examples, with Denver and San Francisco adding another 53 million and 43 million respectively. Such astronomical mintage numbers mean that circulated examples are among the most common coins available to collectors, often available for a mere premium over face value. However, the intense usage of coinage during the war years meant that the vast majority of these nickels were worn down or damaged in commerce. A 1941 nickel that was set aside and preserved in its original mint state condition is a statistical outlier. The true rarity emerges at the highest grade levels, such as MS-67 or MS-68, where the coin must be free of distracting contact marks, possess full, original luster, and exhibit a sharp strike. Coins that also qualify for the full steps designation on the reverse are exponentially rarer, transforming a common coin into a condition rarity that is eagerly sought by registry set competitors. Market values for the 1941 Jefferson Nickel reflect this dramatic condition sensitivity, with prices spanning a wide range that comfortably fits within the specified parameters. A typical circulated example, graded good to extremely fine, holds little value to serious collectors beyond its role as a placeholder. However, the ascent up the grading scale is steep. A superb gem example, graded MS-67 by either the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatics Company, NGC, can command a price in the range of $2,500 to $3,500. For the 1941D issue from the Denver Mint, which is slightly scarcer and high grade, an MS-67 can realize between $3,000 and $4,500. The true pinnacle of value is reserved for coins at the MS-68 level, particularly those with full steps. An MS-68 1941 nickel is an exceptional artifact of American minting, and such a coin would be valued at the upper end of the spectrum, potentially reaching $5,500 to $6,000 or more at public auction, depending on its eye appeal and the strength of the market at the time of sale. For collectors aspiring to own a premium example of this historic issue, a strategy centered on quality and certification is paramount. The first and most critical step is to acquire only a coin that has been professionally graded and encapsulated by a trusted third-party service like PCGS or NGC. This certification provides a guarantee of authenticity and a universally recognized assessment of the coin's condition, which is essential for both building a high-quality collection and ensuring future liquidity. When evaluating potential purchases, collectors should look beyond the numerical grade to assess the coin's aesthetic appeal, focusing on the richness of the original luster, the absence of unsightly carbon spots or heavy marks, and the sharpness of the strike on Jefferson's hair and Monticello's steps. Reputable dealers at major coin shows, online numismatic marketplaces with strong return policies, and major auction houses are the preferred venues for acquisition. Proper storage in a cool, stable environment within the protective slab will preserve the coin's condition indefinitely. In conclusion, the 1941 Jefferson Nickel stands as a compelling testament to the principle that in numismatics, true value is often a function of preservation rather than original scarcity. Its historical significance as the last pre-war nickel, combined with the elegant simplicity of Felix Schlag's design, ensures its enduring appeal to collectors of all levels. For the casual enthusiast, it represents an accessible piece of American history. For the advanced collector, the pursuit of a gem-quality example with full steps represents one of the great challenges in the 20th century series, a hunt for perfection amidst hundreds of millions of common coins. As a store of value, the top-tier examples have demonstrated a consistent appreciation driven by the immutable laws of supply and demand within the competitive arena of high-end registry set collecting. It is a coin that rewards patience and a keen eye, offering both historical resonance and the potential for continued investment growth for those fortunate enough to secure one of its finest surviving representatives. Next coin, the 1946 Jefferson Nickel ascends from a piece of pocket change to an object of serious desire. While millions were struck and circulated, the coin's true significance for collectors lies not in its commonality, but in its elusive perfection. It is the challenge of the full steps designation that transforms this first post-war issue into a trophy, a coin where the strike was so precise and the preservation so absolute that the tiny steps leading to the porch of Monticello remain crisp and unbroken. For the discerning collector, a 1946 nickel in its highest state of preservation is a tangible link to a nation transitioning from global conflict to domestic prosperity, frozen in a moment of flawless metallic grace, with values that can command five figures for the absolute finest known examples. The year 1946 was a pivotal moment in American history, and the 5-cent piece perfectly mirrors the nation's shift from a wartime to a peacetime economy. During World War II, nickel was a critical strategic metal for armor plating, so the mint replaced it with a silver alloy in the famous war nickels from 1942 to 1945. The 1946 nickel, therefore, marked a celebrated return to the pre-war composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a symbolic homecoming to normalcy. Minted in massive quantities across all three facilities: Philadelphia, no mint mark, with over 161 million, Denver with over 45 million, and San Francisco's with over 13.5 million. These coins flooded commerce. Yet this very ubiquity in lower grades creates a fascinating paradox. The coins were so common in daily use that very few were saved in pristine, uncirculated condition by a public more focused on post-war recovery than long-term coin preservation. This makes the search for a high-grade example a genuine numismatic treasure hunt. The coin's design, executed by the German-born artist Felix Schlag, is a study in classic, understated American iconography. The obverse features a dignified, left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, a departure from the right-facing profile used on the pre-war Jefferson Nickel pattern. The reverse is dominated by a precise and detailed depiction of Jefferson's Virginia estate, Monticello, with the name inscribed in a graceful arc below. It is the minute architectural details of this building, specifically the 5 or 6 horizontal lines representing the steps, that define the coin's value at the highest levels. In high-grade, uncirculated condition, the lustrous surfaces of this copper-nickel alloy can exhibit a beautiful, satin-like sheen, a stark contrast to the worn, muted gray of circulated examples, setting the stage for the dramatic value leaps associated with exceptional preservation. The primary driver of value for the 1946 nickel is the full steps, FS, designation, a condition so demanding that it defines the coin's ultimate rarity. A coin is awarded this distinction only if the steps on Monticello are fully struck up and show no breaks or significant wear. This is exceptionally difficult because the design's high points, like Jefferson's cheek and hair, often show were long before the steps do, and the strike quality from the mints varied. The San Francisco issue, with its lower mintage of just over 13.5 million, is particularly sought after for this designation. While a standard 1946 nickel in MS65 might be a modestly priced collectible, the moment it achieves the full steps designation, its scarcity profile changes entirely, making it one of the more challenging regular issue 20th century coins to find in top grade. The market value for these coins, especially when aiming for the $1,000 to $6,000 range, is almost exclusively the domain of full steps examples in the highest grades. A 1946 Philadelphia nickel, with no mint mark, can command around $2,160 in MS67 with full steps, as seen in a recent major auction. However, for the collectors seeking the pinnacle of the series, the 1946 S is the undisputed king. Auction records demonstrate the breathtaking premiums these coins can achieve. For instance, a 1946 S in MS67 with full steps has sold for well over $8,000, and a 1946 Philadelphia in the same grade has been known to cross the block for prices approaching $6,600, firmly placing the most exceptional examples within and even beyond this spectrum. A documented auction record for a 1946 D in MS67, without the full steps designation, is $1,265, showing how the absence of the FS designation can significantly temper value, though it still falls within the lower end of our focus range. The 1946 D, while more common, can still see significant value spikes for full steps examples in grades MS66 and above, with pristine specimens ranging from $1,200 to over $8,600. For a collector aiming to acquire a 1946 nickel of this caliber, strategy and knowledge are paramount. The first and most critical step is to only consider coins that have been professionally certified and graded by a top-tier service like PCGS or NGC. The difference between a coin with 6 full steps and one with a single subtle break can mean a difference of thousands of dollars, and only a certified holder guarantees that assessment. When evaluating a potential purchase, the eye appeal of a certified coin is still vital. Look for coins with vibrant, original luster and surfaces free from distracting marks or unsightly toning. The population reports from grading services are invaluable tools, revealing exactly how few coins exist at a given grade level and confirming the true rarity of a high grade. Full steps example. Reputable auctions from firms like Heritage or Stax Bowers and specialized numismatic dealers are the safest venues for such significant acquisitions. In summary, the 1946 Jefferson Nickel is a masterclass in numismatic duality. To the average person, it remains a common 5-cent piece. To the dedicated collector, it represents one of the great challenges of the 20th century series, the pursuit of a perfectly struck, immaculately preserved piece of post-war history. Its investment potential is intrinsically tied to its condition, with the full steps designation acting as the key that unlocks its true value. For those with the patience and discernment to seek out a PCGS or NGCMS 67 full steps example, particularly from the San Francisco Mint, they are not just buying a coin. They are securing a piece of American resilience, a miniature work of art, and a proven rarity whose value has demonstrated a strong potential for continued appreciation as new generations of collectors discover the thrill of the chase. Second coin within the vast and often serene landscape of modern United States numismatics. Certain coins create ripples that turn into waves of collector interest, and the 2004 Jefferson Nickel, featuring the Keelboat reverse, is one such phenomenon. Its appeal is a multifaceted gem, attracting not only those captivated by the epic saga of Lewis and Clark, but also specialists who chase the pinnacle of condition and the thrill of the hunt for rare varieties. While millions were produced for circulation, the true siren song of this issue lies in its extreme highs, the gem uncirculated examples, and the fascinating mint errors that transform PocketChange into coveted treasures. The market demand for these upper echelon specimens has remained remarkably robust, with collectors willing to commit significant sums to own the finest known representatives of this bicentennial tribute, solidifying its place as a modern classic with a fervent following. The year 2004 marked a pivotal moment for the Jefferson Nickel Series, which had remained relatively unchanged since its debut in 1938. To commemorate the bicentennial of the Louisiana Purchase and the subsequent Lewis and Clark expedition, the United States Mint launched the Westward Journey Nickel Series. This initiative breathed new life into the 5-cent piece, temporarily replacing the long-standing Monticello reverse with two new designs. The second of these, introduced later in the year, was the Keelboat reverse. It was crafted by United States Mint Artistic Infusion Program master designer Al Maletsky and sculpted by Donna Weaver. This design pays homage to the 55-foot vessel that carried the core of discovery up the Missouri River. Struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints in staggering numbers for circulation, over 366 million and 344 million, respectively, the coin was never intended to be rare in the traditional sense. Yet, its place in history as part of a transformative moment for American coinage ensures its enduring legacy. The coin's visual narrative is its greatest strength, transporting the viewer back to the dawn of the 19th century. The obverse retains the familiar left-profile portrait of Thomas Jefferson, a design by Felix Schlag that had graced the coin for over 6 decades, though it now bears his initials FS, added in 1966. However, it is the reverse that commands attention. It presents a dynamic, angled depiction of the expedition's keelboat under full sail, its square sail billowing with the promise of discovery. The boat is rendered with intricate detail, showing the rigging and the structure that allowed it to be sailed, rowed, or even towed from the riverbanks. Above the boat, the inscription Lewis and Clark arcs proudly, connecting the coin directly to its historical inspiration. Struck in a copper-nickel composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel, The coin has a standard weight of 5 grams and a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, dimensions that make it familiar in the hand but extraordinary in its design execution. While a typical uncirculated 2004 Keelboat nickel can be acquired for a modest sum, the paradigm shifts dramatically when discussing coins of superlative condition. The primary factor creating a multi-thousand-dollar coin is not the mintage figure, but the sheer difficulty of finding one in near-perfect or perfect mint state condition. According to numismatic experts, a 2004 P or 2004 D Keelboat nickel is considered virtually unobtainable in MS68 grade, with population reports from leading grading services like PCGS suggesting only about 30 examples of the Denver issue are known at that level, with none graded higher. For the Philadelphia issue, the numbers are similarly minuscule at the MS68 level. It is this razor-thin margin between a common, high-grade coin and the pinnacle of preservation that creates a value chasm worth several $1,000s. The market value for these conditional rarities firmly places them within the specified premium range. For instance, a 2004 P Keelboat nickel certified MS68 by PCGS or NGC has realized auction prices consistently in the range of $2,500 to $5,500 in recent years, depending on the exact auction venue and the coin's IPO. The slightly tougher 2004 D in the same MS68 grade can command a premium, often selling for $3,000 to $6,000. However, the true value apex is reserved for spectacular error coins. A 2004 P Keelboat nickel that was dramatically struck off-center or one exhibiting a multiple strike can easily escalate in value. One such example, a multi-struck broad-struck specimen graded MS66, sold for $4,200 at auction, demonstrating that significant mint errors on this popular design are highly desirable and valuable. For collectors aspiring to own a top-tier example of this coin, strategy and knowledge are paramount. The first step is understanding that modern coins in high grades must be certified by a reputable third-party grading service, such as PCGS, NGC, or ANAX. This certification guarantees the coin's authenticity and, more importantly, provide the universally accepted grade that is essential for its value. When evaluating a potential purchase, one should look for coins with vibrant, original luster and strike quality that brings out the fine details of the keelboat's rigging. Collectors should also be aware of the improperly annealed planchet errors, which create a distinctive, textured surface and can be found in high grades, as these represent a unique and collectible subset. Acquiring such pieces typically involves participating in major numismatic auctions or building relationships with specialized dealers who handle high-end modern material. In conclusion, the 2004 Jefferson Nickel with the Keelboat reverse stands as a testament to the idea that historical significance and modern collecting passion can converge to create a truly valuable asset. While millions of these coins sit in drawers and coin jars, the specimens that have survived in pristine, gem condition represent a distinct echelon of numismatic art. They are tangible links to one of America's greatest adventures, preserved in a state that their original users would never recognize. For the collector, acquiring a PCGS or NGC MS68 example, or a dramatic mint error, is not merely a purchase but a commitment to preserving a piece of history at its absolute finest. With its limited high-end population and enduring thematic appeal, this coin is poised to remain a cornerstone of advanced Jefferson Nickel collections and a compelling option for those seeking a modern coin with significant long-term potential.